Today we're going to talk about an expectation for nurses to set an ARD on admission or readmission for an MDS. Please note that if you're not currently using PCC for your full EMR, you're going to need to add this new step to any admission or readmission paper checklist that you have. Those of you that are using PCC for your full EMR will have a prompt when you're opening up the evaluation for admission and readmission. As you progress through your evaluation, you'll get to the end that will say go to MDS tab and start a new MDS. So this is the prompt that we're referring to. And again, if you're not putting all of your information in PCC yet, in regards to admission evaluations and all of your risk assessments, you will need to add this step to your readmission or admission checklists. So why do we want nurses to do this? We know that you have so many other things to do at the time of admission. You're trying to verify medications, get in touch with the doctor, do all of your assessments. But under Medicare regulation, we can only set an ARD while the resident is currently a resident, still on Medicare, and within a prescribed time frame. So if a resident admits on Friday, the weekend, a holiday, or any other off-hour time, and then dies, discharges, or changes before the MDS coordinator sets an ARD in the system, we would have to bill Medicare at a default rate no matter how many services we provided during their stay. So all of that work that you may have done in the morning or the afternoon throughout the person's stay, and then therapy comes in and they're treating them and we're feeding them, we're doing all of these things for them, and we're going to get paid the very lowest amount simply because we didn't put a date in the computer. So here's the example. They admit on Friday, 4/28 at 6 p.m. The MDS coordinator has left for the weekend. No ARD has been set in PCC. The resident discharges to the hospital Monday, 5/1 at 3 a.m. So no MDS coordinators in there yet. Saturday, Sunday, obviously not at 3 a.m. on Monday. We're going to have to bill 4/28, 4/29, and 4/30 at the default rate because there was no ARD in the system before the resident left on 5/1. So if an ARD is put in the system per this protocol, the MDS coordinator is allowed to adjust the ARD under the rules to the date of discharge or the last covered day. But you can't adjust something that was never put in the system, and that's where you come in. So once the resident has entered into the system, the person who enters the census detail of the admission or readmission, the person who's doing the eval, if you're doing it in PCC, will proceed to set a 5-day PPS for all residents. So to avoid confusion, this is going to be the process regardless of what day it is, regardless of what time the patient comes in, and regardless of what payer. All right, so we don't care that they're Medicare or they're private because sometimes those things are miscommunicated at the time of admission, and we don't want to miss setting those things and then find out later they were Medicare. So it's easy enough for you to go in. Honestly, this is a few clicks of a couple of buttons for you to go in and do this than to try to go back later and try to have to default bill. So if we just do this and do it for everybody, it's much easier for us to just delete the assessment or change the type of assessment if it's not needed. So when you're in point-click care, you're going to pick the resident that you're looking for and search for that person. Once you get to that person, their whole clinical chart is going to open up, and you're going to be looking under the MDS tab right next to evaluations if you're using PCC for that. You'll click on New, and then you're not going to have to change the date. This date is automatically going to be the admission date, and that's the day we want you to use for the ARD. So you don't have to do anything with that. Just leave it alone. You're going to set the over reason as none of the above. You're going to set the PPS assessment as a 5-day, and then you're going to drop down to entry or discharge, and it's going to be none of the above. So those instructions are right here on the right-hand side, and I suggest that you print this slide at least so that everyone has it at the desk and can remember what to do. You hit save, and now you have scheduled the MDS, and that is it.